Andrea Bennet is one of those characters in the Tyler Perry verse that people love to hate. An unabashed cheater and a money-hungry woman she is, many cheer when her husband Chris slaps her across the diner counter after learning about her 5-year-long affair with her boss, William Cartwright. But today, I want to take a magnifying glass at this character to determine if Andrea deserves any empathy at all. Is this character redeemable, and can we even attempt to understand her actions by taking a closer look at this villain? Without further rambling, let's just get into it. At the start of the film, a 22-year-old Andrea is getting married to Chris Bennet at the Cartwright estate. The wedding is being put on absolutely free of charge by Charlotte Cartwright, a longtime friend of Andrea's mother, Alice. Andrea is getting ready with her older sister, Pam, and this relationship is a bit tumultuous from the jump. While Andrea vents about not liking the dress that was passed down to her by her mother, Pam takes offense, suggesting that Andrea should be grateful with what she has. Andrea continues on, expressing her discomfort with her wedding, feeling like a charity case put on by Charlotte Cartwright. Lastly, she expresses how her mother could have asked her friend to purchase a new dress for her. Pam is in awe at her sister's unappreciative nature. I don't think it's too much to ask for a new dress for her wedding day, especially taking into account that many women dream of their wedding days and have whole Pinterest boards dedicated to the event. And I don't know about you, but when I make a Pinterest board, I'm f***ing serious. The contrast in the sisters is clear here. Pam is the good sister, the one that doesn't complain much and is fine with little, whereas Andrea is the ungrateful sister, unhappy with anything unless it's the best of the best. For now, we'll put a pin in this dynamic as it will come back up later in the video. After the wedding service, Andrea is happened upon by William Cartwright, and he is not subtle in his attraction to the newlywed. William is looking Andrea up and down, holding uncomfortably long eye contact and even licking his lips at the sight of the young woman. It would appear that William Cartwright has found his prey.
Wow, Andrea, you sure have grown up.
This initial interaction between William and Andrea is the beginning of disaster. Andrea introduces her husband, and this results in Chris getting a hookup with a construction job at Cartwright Construction, and also secures Andrea a role at William's company when she finishes her degree.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you just call me directly, and I'll take care of it for you.
What's happening under the obvious of giving these two people careers is that William Cartwright sons Chris, and Andrea takes notice. William flexes his social and financial status at this moment by providing careers for these two. Here, Andrea sees that Chris's efforts alone cannot get him into closed doors. Chris has no authority, not even enough power to get a construction job. But William Cartwright wielded the power of his name alone, and all those doors that Chris couldn't even peek into are already open for William. William Cartwright has access to wealth, stability, and growth, and can provide this for Chris simply because of his last name. To Andrea, this command over capital is true power, and she most definitely takes notice of how much authority William has. Here, William plants a seed in Andrea's head. My husband cannot provide this level of access. Chris is a laborer. William is a king. She isn't attracted to William romantically here, but she is deeply attracted to his status. She quickly learns the first lesson of the Cartwright world. Power gets things done, whereas love does not. Also, Andrea and Chris are still very much in love at this point and even seem excited and hopeful about their lives together. This would change in our 4-year time jump. Andrea is now 4 years into her career as a financial executive for the Cartwright Company. She and William Cartwright are and have been having an affair for the years that she has been employed, and the two even have a 3-year-old son together, unbeknownst to her husband, Chris. When Andrea picks up her son from her mother's diner, Pam confronts her on her lack of payment for watching her nephew. This is my first issue with Andrea's family. Pam and Andrea argue anytime they're on screen with one another, and this scene is no different. The two begin to argue about money. Pam insists that she doesn't need the $300, but it is their mother, Alice, who needs it, as they only made about $200 that day at the diner. Alice softly states that she does not need the money, but Pam overpowers this conversation and proceeds to drag Andrea for not helping their mother out financially, since it was their mother who got her that high-paying job in the first place. To prove a point, Andrea writes a check for $5,000 to her mother. Now, this always struck me as weird because at the end of the film, we find out that Alice is a millionaire and really just has this diner for a hobby, which is why she's not concerned with her take-home profits. Think about how absurd it is to know your daughters have been at each other's throats for years about financial concerns while you are sitting on a mountain of money. The strain in this relationship could be remedied if Alice was simply honest about her financial status, but instead she keeps it a secret. And to be fair, she does say she doesn't need the money, but as the eldest daughter myself, I would also assume that my parent was being modest. So I don't blame Pam for sticking up for her mother, but but I do blame Alice for the strain on her daughter's relationship. Alice lets Pam lash out at Andrea about money. And because of this, I do believe that Pam's anger at Andrea is completely misplaced. She is actually angry at the family's financial imbalance, but Andrea is the closest, most visible target of her frustration. Pam sees Andrea with the college degree, the high-paying job, the Mercedes pulling up, while she works at her mother's diner. Mind you, Alice is a millionaire. She could put Pam through college or help out financially if she wanted to, but she chooses not to. Pam might be working at this diner thinking she's doing a benevolent thing helping her mom. That's insane. All I'm trying to point out here is that if this financial wound was tended to, these two women could have had beautiful sisterhood. To add, maybe Andrea would not have felt the need to sleep with her boss to secure what she thought was a once-in-a-lifetime bag if she had support from her mother and sister. And if she did still sleep with William despite the finances being in order, at least she would have had her sister during a time when she was being pursued by her boss. Alice being extremely passive is a detriment to her children's progression and relationship, which is why her later comments about Andrea always rub me the wrong way. But we'll talk about that a bit later. For now, just put a pin in Alice. Back at home with Andrea and Chris, it's clear that she has completely checked out of the relationship. She strolls up into the house, no hugs, no kisses, just f***ing Grey Goose straight up.
Treating you real good over there.
Yeah.
Paying for this house and gave you a Mercedes? That's...
Yeah.
Wow.
The issue in this marriage stems back to, you guessed it, finances. Andrea makes more than Chris, and I believe this deeply troubles her, and it makes sense why when we get into her childhood a bit later on. When Chris brings up the idea of speaking to William about starting his own business, Andrea immediately dismisses him and says that Chris will never be William Cartwright. I think she acted in this disgusted way because she views Chris's inability to make moves on his own as a weakness. She views the task of setting up a meeting as yet another thing she has to do for Chris. She's already provided the house, the funds, and even the car, and still Chris has not provided anything for her in terms of finances. To Andrea, William is a multi-millionaire that provides for her and her family, not Chris. It's obvious that Andrea wants to live a lavish life and wants to be provided for and not the main provider for her family. To understand the lifestyle that Andrea wants, we have to take a quick glance at the woman she wants to be, Mrs. Cartwright. Mrs. Cartwright lives a life of luxury. She doesn't work at all and lives in a beautiful home. Her son is going to a prestigious kindergarten, and she receives lavish gifts from her husband, William. Miss Cartwright, like Andrea, does not come from money, and now she's drowning in it. But what Andrea does not see is how Mrs. Cartwright is not a wife, but a trophy to William. She waits up for him at home and robotically hands him his nightcap, rinses, and repeats. Mrs. Cartwright has no agency or identity outside of her marriage to William, which is why I believe she stays with him even after discovering the truth about his 5-year-long affair. This is the life that Andrea wants for herself. She wants the aesthetic of luxury. She doesn't want to work. She wants to wear the skin of Mrs. Cartwright. You know what's crazy? William knows this and does not care at all. I guess this is a good time to talk about William as well. William Cartwright is a narcissist. Props to the actor because William comes across as creepy, cold, and disconnected. He brazenly exploits Andrea after hiring her with the intentions of sleeping with her. Mind you, he has his eyes set on Andrea at her wedding. William even taunts Chris with snide and gross comments about sleeping with Andrea when Chris has no idea about the affair.
Hold on a second. Your wife is doing an amazing job.
He's horrific. Even at his mother's funeral, William looks less like a mourner and more like a patron waiting in line at a grocery store checkout line. The craziest thing this man does is when he is dumping Andrea in the Cartwright construction parking lot. He's driving away and he puts his window down so he can hear her sob over him. You know how crazy and messed up you gotta be to do some shit like that? William is the main villain of the film, obviously. He preys on Andrea from the beginning, and she's so naive and young that she falls for a narcissist trap. This narcissist trap was set to lead to the eventual employment and grooming of Andrea. This is not at all to excuse Andrea's action. What I am saying is that Andrea is a victim. She may not be the perfect victim, but she was in fact manipulated by her boss, who used his influence and money money to open doors for her just so he could sleep with her. William treats Andrea as a sexual object rather than a person. Confined to a hotel room, she has no authority, no real say on what William does, and any say in their relationship at all. The power imbalance is honestly too great. Being with someone like William for 5 years of secrecy with a narcissist is gonna change anybody. And for Andrea, she had a negative change. On top of that, William was providing exuberant amounts of money to Andrea. And to understand why this may have been a huge deal to her, we have to look at her upbringing. Alice is trying to talk sense into Andrea because her daughter truly believes that William will leave his wife to be with her. Andrea is completely and incredibly deluded at this point and snaps at her mother. Andrea cries as she recounts her childhood and her heartbreak upon her father abandoning their family to go off and live well with another woman while the three of them struggle to make ends meet.
You have no idea what happened between me and your father? You have no idea.
I know that he left us here. He left us and he never came back. Because of you. He left us here struggling and broke while he went off and remarried and lived well.
Alice ponders aloud where she went wrong with Andrea. Alice then urges her daughter to let go of the past as she has let it go. This is one of my many issues with the messaging in Tyler Perry films. Perry's films often shame the children for expressing potential stressors, discomforts, or even traumas they may have endured or experienced in their childhood to their parents. Perry preaches to let the past go, to continue on with life as the past cannot be rewritten. For Mr. Perry, the past is the scribe of our future, and it shapes the very etches of our souls. Alice may have had the capacity to forgive her husband by turning to her faith because she was an adult, but Andrea was a child, and children are not equipped to deal with the devastating mental impact of abandonment. Alice never told her daughters the truth about why their father left. Alice's silence left a child Andrea to fill in the blanks of her father's abandonment with her own fears, insecurities, and even resentment. Just because Alice moved on doesn't mean she's not responsible for providing the tools to help her children heal as well. She may have provided the church and the Bible, but was that enough for Andrea? Without the truth or a better way to heal her childhood abandonment, Andrea couldn't process her grief healthily, so she turned that grief into ruthless ambition. It's true that the event of her father leaving triggered something in the young Andrea's mind. This abandonment led to a warped perception of marital union and money. To Andrea, money equals security, and security means never having to struggle again, and this is how she justifies her affair with William. She is fanatic in her praise for William and adamant that he will choose her because he has provided the means so that she will never have to go without again. With this childhood wound in mind, her horrible actions make a bit more sense. We can't really condone or excuse her actions, but we can see how her unhealed mind attempted to cope with her immense fear of financial insecurity. This is also why Andrea flips the fuck out to the point of exposing her affair when Chris steals her money to start a family construction business. Chris taking Andrea's money is still an insane concept to me. His audacity is truly baffling, even if she made the money the right way. To make a major decision like this with what he assumes is family money without consulting his partner is insanely disrespectful and completely on brand for Chris's disregard for Andrea. We can also infer through dialogue that this is not Chris's first get-rich-quick scheme, as Andrea previously voiced how he spent all her money, which was one of her reasons for not telling him about the money in the first place. Chris is blindly ambitious and self-serving. Now, I don't want to blame Chris because for most of this film, he's actually pathetically clueless, but his absolute lack of a plan or direction in his life played a key role in his marriage falling apart. A man having dreams is not the problem. I don't hate men having dreams. The lack of plan is the real issue. He had no tact for business, as is evident in him going to William Cartwright to ask him to invest in his construction business, which makes no sense. Why would William invest in a potential competitor? 5 years of get-rich-quick schemes, pipe dreams as they call them, while Andrea works overtime. Again, I do not want to excuse Andrea's behavior because it was dead wrong, but it's obvious that Chris was more concerned about these money moves instead of his wife. The icing on Chris's cake is that even at the end, when he gets his construction business with his friend Ben, it's only, and I mean only, because of Andrea's affair money. He had no plan. He took her money, invested it without her consent, and slapped the fuck out of her when she finally blew up after being provoked with her bank account being emptied out. out. And at the end, without her money, her $300,000 that I'm pretty sure would help her out tons, she's living in a rundown apartment, taking payments from Chris. Because I don't know if this is like child support or if he's attempting to pay her back because he's completely wiped her savings out. With all this in mind, do you still think Andrea is deserving of the amount of hate she gets? I don't excuse her cheating at all, as I've said many times throughout this video. Andrea is a character that serves as a warning of what unresolved childhood trauma can fester into in adulthood. For a majority of the film, Andrea is running from her fear of being impoverished. But instead of having a family to run to, Andrea ran into the arms of a man who provided that security, but for a cost. I think Andrea deserved better support and the truth from her mother. Who knows, maybe her life in marriage to Chris would have been different had she had transparency instead of secrecy. But as usual, I want to know what you think in the comments. Did you notice anything about Andrea that I might have missed? Do you think Andrea deserves a bit more empathy, or is she still one of Tyler Perry's worst villains? I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Please be sure to like and subscribe. I post when I can so I won't blow up your notifications, and it's free. If you like this video, I have a few others that you may want to check out. I have been Pyrus, and I hope you have a wonderful night or day wherever you are. Peace.
See ya!